Insane 1v3 episode number 3. Let's fucking go. All right, so I opened with 14-14 here, because both of my opponents are pretty well known for doing 3 Rax Reaper plays, so it does put me a little behind economically. But I also knew that in the loading screen that my teammate was plat and every player in this game was master tier 1. And as we can see, he did end up going at 3 Rax Reaper play. And I thought for sure I was screwed here, but my teammate did some kind of a counter aggression on the bottom left of the map, and he ended up doing a lot of damage, which got us back into the game. So it looks like he made the left side Terran player lift off his CC, which delayed a lot of mining, which meant that the push couldn't continue. So, while the game wasn't necessarily 1v2 at the start of the game, as the game progresses, it turns into a 1v3. I think the cool part about doing the build the way I did the build on this map is that you get a lot of queens, and you can push the creep out there really fast. It's very, very unfortunate that I wasn't actually able to record the gameplay because I fucking forgot to hit start recording. Plus, I don't archive my VODs anymore, so there's just no way to get the live play. But I mean, if we look at the minimap, if we use our peripherals and we look at the minimap, we can see that my teammate has 0 saturation at his natural. He's only mining gas, and he's only building 2 Void Rays at a time off a 2 Stargate. But I will say that, you know, some of the aggressive plays that he did do kind of more or less open up the opportunity for me to actually be able to play a real game. So for probably like the first, I don't know, 10 minutes, 15 minutes of this game, I wouldn't necessarily call it a 1v2. But, you know, like I mentioned before, as the game progresses, this definitely turns into something pretty outstanding. So we got our 4th bases up. The problem with the Trader's Exile is that you can't actually attack Terran on this map for obvious reasons. So you're kind of forced into a turtley game. So about the only thing that you can do is get really good creep spread out there and do like clamp attacks, you know, like to the east and west of the map when they push through the center. So, you know, we can see we're 12 minutes into the game and my teammate still has no 3rd base, even though I've got creep pushed all the way across the map. So we can definitely tell that there's a skill disparity in this game. In fact, I don't even think he takes his 3rd base until like minute 25 or something crazy like that. So from here, really the only thing that I can do is kind of build like a spore crawler for us and go broods. The problem with this is that Thors outrange broods, so you can't really push in. You kind of just have to wait for them to make a push. Which, you know, considering how close the bases are to each other, you can imagine the type of imbalance that you would run into with 2 Terran. But I make this push here, and it does pretty well. Could have been better, I think. But what I was thinking at the time of this push was I really got to reset the army values, because if I don't reset the army values, there's really going to be no way for me to win, because I don't have a teammate at this point. So I capitalized on the fact that I had the opportunity to reset the army values. And frankly here, I didn't notice that my teammate had pushed the bottom left of the map. I probably could have kept pushing there. But I just thought that if I continued with that push, I just would have lost everything. And because the bases are so close together, Zerg units are cost inefficient. And when you have these scenarios where production is very close together, Zerg definitely plays at the disadvantage. So that was kind of the mindset there of why I didn't continue to push. So we can see, I mean, my teammate, he's only just now taking his 3rd base at the 17-minute mark. And he's still only producing 2 Void Rays at a time. So you can kind of see the disparity that I'm currently playing at. And like, I really wanted to go up to 3-3, which would have made my broods a lot stronger. But again, you know, you're in this scenario where your units are really cost inefficient because the bases are so close together. So, you know, this is part of the reason why I couldn't really improve my army, and I had to spend my resources on Infestor. There, I finally decided to get it. What is the follower alert? It's an old man Dutch ovening his wife. So you could see in that engagement, Thors just straight up outrange broods, right? So you can't. There's no real way to take a good engagement. particularly on a map like this. That, you know, maybe some 1v1 maps it's a little more broken because of the size of the map, but 1v1 players think that the problem with the game is that the unit composition is too strong, Broodlord Infestor, right? But what people don't understand is that it doesn't. The unit interactions, yes, there are some imbalances, but the majority of the problem in 1v1 right now is just because of the map pool. You can clearly see how difficult this is for me to actually pull out this victory. And yes, albeit there are 2 armies that I have to fight against with no teammate. But if this was a different map, this probably would have just been a steamroll, because wide maps that are more wide open are a lot easier to make this composition work, right? Plus, my control with this composition isn't exactly the greatest, because in 2v2 you don't normally get to this. So, you know, my hotkeys are pretty inefficient for this comp. You realistically, to make this shine, you need to have your Broodlords on a hotkey, you need to have your Corruptors on a hotkey, and you need to have your Infestor on a hotkey. But, you know, I just don't practice it personally because I never get to this comp. So from here, you know, it's more, you know, I'm recognizing the situation that I'm in. And if I keep this, I'm never going to be able to stop the bottom left base because my composition is too slow. I have to stay on this side of the map, because if I venture off to the bottom left of the map, that's just going to mean I'm going to lose my right side bases, right? So this is like a war of attrition, but I'm pigeonholed into staying in this location. Like, I know for a fact that he has that bottom left base because there's no reason he wouldn't have it. He cleared the creep, right? So then my teammate comes over here and does some unbelievably stupid attack. Watch this. And then he calls GG. So from this point forward, it's 1v3. And you could see the massive bank that he left me with, right? And, you know, I know how to play this game, so I know that the only thing that I need to build here to actually be able to win this game is Tempest. Tempest take care of the Thor, they take care of the Viking, in conjunction with the Infestor. And again, you know, I made this push here because I knew that I had a huge Tempest macro coming. And what I needed to do was I needed to reset the army values in order to make my Tempest play efficient going forward. I could have had him out a lot faster, but it's really hard to play 1v3. So I never really had the time to actually hotkey the Nexus to chrono boost the gates. Fucked something up there. Okay, we're good. So from this point forward, because I decided to take that engagement, it reset the army values, right? And so now the Tempest play is going to be that much stronger because they're going to be going into Viking Marine, right? So now I can build Ultra Bane to counter the Viking Marine and Infestor with the Tempest support. So you can imagine how difficult it is to manage 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 bases, right? It's pretty difficult. But, you know, again, my comp is slow, so I have to continue playing this War of Attrition. Basically, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to make this Terran player mine out, and then the only base that should be left is this one down here, right? Because by this time, this base is mined out, this base is mined out, this base is mined out, and I know this because of the mules, right? So I know that at best, they've probably got about 2 base worth of economy. So instead of trying to take out this base that has money, I might as well just play the War of Attrition on this side of the map, right? And because my economy is so much better, I can take trades like this and just keep resetting the army value and keep building up the Tempest count. And then resetting the fights, and in this way I will always be at an advantage, right? So, you know, kind of a saving grace in this game was in the fact that my teammate, he took his bases so late, and he never really spent any of his resources. So it just kind of made it that much easier to actually win. So, you know, it actually turned it out, it ended up being pretty good that he was as bad as he was. But I attribute the victory in this game to just recognizing when you need to reset the army values, understanding your your advantageous position, and then capitalizing on that. And then it's kind of self-explanatory from this point forward. GG. Insane 1v3 episode number 3.